Good afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien here on the afternoon of Monday, March 25th, 2024. Well, we've had our fun with Donald J. Trump today, right? But today's comment is on the United States state of affairs in the Palestine-Israeli situation. Now, you and Israel are looking at two different things. If I were you or the Secretary of State Blinken for the United States, here is what I would advise Prime Minister Netanyahu to do. And for the American diplomatic order to understand that they're following a no-win scenario with a two-state solution. Okay? The two-state solution was tried and failed in 1948 with the partition of Palestine into the Israelis and the Jordanians. And then you viewed the after effects of that. Like I said, you moved people into the West Bank and you put them as part of the Jordanian area. You moved them into the Gaza Strip and you asked the Egyptians to take care of them. Did you really ask them or did you tell them? And that's the problem. The United Nations told them that they were responsible for them, that they were Jordanian citizens on the West Bank and Egyptian citizens on the Gaza. And I don't think in 1948 King Farouk or the King of Jordan wanted that. By 1956, you know they didn't want that. Okay? Therefore, it allowed Israel in 1967 to say, okay, you guys don't want that, so I'll take over the West Bank and I'll take over the Gaza, along with the Sinai and the Golan Heights. And you Americans went through the same stupid process for the next 5 decades almost. So here, for President Biden and Secretary of State Blinken, from an alien from another planet that has told you numerous times that the United Nations, is a joke, they messed up, you didn't learn from India, and you repeated the same mistake a year later in Israel. What I would suggest you tell the Israelis and Hamas, this is a semi-permanent ceasefire with the following conditions. Hamas will return all of the living and dead hostages to Israel, both American and other nationalities and Israelis. And Israel will release 900, not 1,000, but 900 Hamas fighters that are in Israeli jails. Okay? And this is for a 180-day ceasefire. In these 180-day ceasefire, here is the following things. It's not a two-state solution, it's a three-state solution. Actually, a 5-state solution. And let me say why I say a 5-state solution. The states are Israel, Jordan, Egypt, West Bank, and Gaza. Those are the only states involved in these negotiations. And even though I don't like them, the Americans should stay out of this. All the other nations should stay out of this too. And the auspices should go under, I know it sounds strange, but the King of Saudi Arabia. That'll let that nation know, heck, they need Israel for personal reasons, and they have to obtain their Arab ways. Okay? And they have Mecca over in Saudi Arabia, and you got Jerusalem and Israel, and they're both pain in the necks. And Israelis and the Saudi Arabians won't like this. Neither were the Jordanians, and neither were the Egyptians or any other country that is involved on this. The Americans won't like this either. But this is the only way you're going to submit to this, finally getting this done and the war hopefully over. The people who live in the West Bank and Gaza are over 70 years old for the most part, that understand 1948. Okay? You're 76 years old, and you were just babies when all this happened. If you have any in the 80s and 90s, then you understand what happened. But you were young people with fervor going all over the place at the time. It was a mistake what they did back then. We all understand that. Heck, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have gone anywhere near a 10-foot pole with that kind of solution that they came up with in 1948. But we can't do anything about it. We can correct it here to a certain extent, and this is what I'm trying to do. The people of the West Bank should have their own nation state. They're different than the people from Gaza. And like I said, with the auspices of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan, who would recognize them as a state, and the Americans who recognize them as a state immediately. But they have to do 2 caveats that are necessary for this thing to work. 1, disallow the Palestinian Authority as your main source of power, and Fatah as your main source. 2, recognize the existence of the State of Israel. Okay, and establish the government of West Bank as you see fit. You name the country. And you're under the protectorate of the United Nations, which is a joke, but I'm sure that the Arab League will be there for you too. And sign a joint agreement with Israel. Israel will not attack you. You will never attack Israel. You will form a country like Switzerland. No army. The defense being allowed by the United Nations and the Arab League. You are an Arab people. You're allowed to have self-determination. Same with the people of Gaza, but I'll get to you in a second. And the one that really won't like Israel or the Americans, Jerusalem should be declared an international city, administered by the United Nations. Because it's an international city of three religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And should be open to all three religions, not owned by any of the three religions or countries. It's an open human city because it involves three religions, which should be studied by the other religions of Hinduism and Taoism and out there. These three religions, Judaism excluded because it only has maybe less than 400 million people that are Jews. But you got over 1 billion Muslims and over 1 billion Christians, no matter who you are. So you got 2.5 billion of the population involved in this. So it's a sizable population of the Terran people. Therefore, it must be an international city with all three religions and their historical values accounted for. And you guys on the West Bank, you have other cities that have historical and political and religious significance in your West Bank. The Jordan River, for one, Jericho, and other cities in there. Nazareth, Bethlehem, both Muslims, Christians, and Jews have venerations on these sites. They all should be allowed to venerate them free of the hatred that's been involved in all these millennia. And you can generate profit out of this and support your people by making all these a tourist attraction for other people of other faiths that come and see how you guys were and what caused, because they have the same issues in the other faiths. India's got the same issue with Hindus and Sikhs, and the Muslims with the Pakistanis and the Bangladeshi. They have issues. If they can learn from you, that makes the earth a better place to live. So what do you say, West Bankers? Would you be willing to sign on to this plan? And how about you in the Gaza? Hamas, part of this is you get to vacate Gaza. Check and see if any of your Arab supporters will take you in. Hezbollah? Well, you guys don't like each other anyway, do you? So what's the use of having two of you guys around, Hamas and Hezbollah, if you guys don't like each other? But you should let the Gaza people live in peace. They can do the same thing the West Bank did, but at a different time, because they are different than the West Bankers. So they have to find their own way, not copy the West Bankers. But they can put their nation kind of like the West Bank. They have areas in there that are also historical, not as much on the religious side, but the historical side. You got the Phoenicians were there, the Philistines, the Egyptians, the Hittites at one time or another went by there. The Phoenicians. From there, one of their colonies was called Carthage. Do you understand me with Gaza people? There's 2 million plus of you. Would you like to be annihilated by the Israelis and the hatred go for generation after generation? Or would you like to support yourself as an Arab-speaking, Arab-loving people who want to be left alone in an area that shouldn't have been put there for you? Because the Gaza, it's a tough area to live in. But you guys can, with the help of the rest of the world, build it up to be something nice. The problem is, are you willing to, and forgo all the hatred that came before this? It's the only way you're going to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be annihilated. The Israelis will have no choice but to annihilate you because of Hamas. Do you want that? I don't think so. Do you want a phantom like you're having right now? I don't think so. And like I say to you, the same way. The Arab League and the United Nations are responsible for your defense. If you promised the Israelis and the Israelis promised you, and they better keep their promise of not attacking you and you not attacking them. This is your favorite alien. Understand me, people from Gaza, people from the West Bank, Arabs, Israelis, Americans, and Terrans. You got to stop your stupid hatred if you want to be a civilized people. And you're not there yet. You're not even half civilized. You're still savage. This is your favorite alien saying, good day.